Well, hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, coming at you live, talking about episode 17 of season 2 of ClassicaLoid, and this was a blast. Yeah, I'm getting all into character here, sort of the Western motif, because that's exactly what this episode was, Western Lloyd, man, and I had a blast watching this episode. I love that Liz was kind of the sheriff and keeping the peace in this town. What was the whole quandary? What was the problem? Well, of course, Beethoven and Mozart. They want their rooms back in Ottawa Manor, and somebody summoned forth this musique that was all Western themed, and they staved it off to the very last minute. Who brought that about? And it was Liszt, all told, with her Mephisto waltz, which is all kinds of awesome. I love how Kanai's like, okay, can you stop with the music now? I want to clean up the living room, by the end. But I thought it was hilarious that you have Destiny Beto and Moz the Kid, these two very westernized personalities, and they had eschewed Sosuke for trying to get in the way and try to be there for Bada and everything like that. They want their rooms back from Bada and Chekhov respectively, whereas earlier they wanted them back from Wakun and Dovo-chan. But ever since Chekhov and Bada-Zuska, they, made their way to the manor house. Now they are taking up the residence of Beats and Moz's rooms respectively. And I'm assuming it's like, first floor, second floor, because Moz was 102 and Beats is 202. At least that's how the apartment building I live in works, where the second floor is 20 something and the first floor is 10 something. I have no idea, but, the whole Sosuke being tied to the tree at the beginning kind of reminded me of a similar scene in Conan the Barbarian, the 1980s Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, which is not a Western at all, by the way. But, that's what it made me think of. And so he's left for dead, basically. Schubert's kind of sort of guarding him, and when Liszt comes in as the sheriff, she's questioning Schubert, and Schub's putting on this big grand show of how badass he is. And when they have the duels that they have, I was like, what are they going to do? Like, all of their sort of wands or whatever you want to call it, they're all sort of turned into different, fashioned weapons, like handguns. In Beats' case, it's more like a shotgun. And so what are they going to do? Are they going to, shoot each other with music? How is this going to work? And they suddenly do these cutaways to a quiz show. Where they have to, they only listen to a couple seconds of each of their musiques and they have to guess. And if, you get it wrong, as the case of Schubert going up against Liszt at the beginning of the episode, he got it wrong and he goes flying like he got his head blown off. And so it was pretty funny, the debate back and forth between, of course, Bada-Zuska and Chekhov, because Bada-Zuska is still said to be the one-hit wonder, where all of these other ClassicaLoids have all these other musiques, these compositions under their belt that we've seen since the first season. And how, Beats and Moz, they pretty much figured they got it in the bag. They're going to get their rooms back. And even with Liszt coming in there and giving Chekhov and Bada a leg up, it still kind of fails. It still doesn't really work for them. Until that is the one character I was wondering, where is he in the entirety of the episode? Chopin comes out. And not only does he basically put Beats in his place, Moz was taken out for the count because of Liszt. But, all three girls had used up all of their so-called bullets, their musique. And this left Beethoven to be sort of, the guy who's coming out and gloating and like, I win. It's my house now. So this prompts Chopin to come out. Chopin takes him out, but he's not doing the gallant thing. He's not doing this to save the girls and to create peace. No, he wants the whole manor house for himself. Then all of a sudden, this whole thing turns into like a stagecoach, horse-drawn buggy, and the manor house is on the move, It's completely just absurd. Absolute absurdity. Liz gives chase and Kanai comes to like she doesn't know what the hell's going on. I love that they gave Padkun, who's there to explain to her, it must be musique. It's a product of a musique world, this whole Western setting. But even little Padkun had a little cowboy hat. And so Kanai's like flipping out, what in the hell's going on? They practically almost run over Sosuke, who's still dangling from that tree. Thankfully, they didn't hang him. They just sort of tied him at his midsection. But, you know, when this giant rolling stagecoach goes over him, it picks him up and he's like flailing behind it, attached to like a staircase or something. And so it all comes down to Liz in the end, who pulls out that Mephisto waltz, which nobody was expecting, including I myself. And I thought the sort of techno electronica version that they stylized, you know, added to this episode was actually pretty badass. That whole end credits sequence where you're hearing it play, I was like kind of getting reminded of my all-time favorite anime, Cowboy Bebop, in that moment, like a sort of, you know, contemporary, modern techno sort of beat, which you didn't really see techno in Cowboy Bebop, the anime, but because of the futuristic setting, you know, the electronica beats and everything like that are kind of complementary to the Western aesthetica of the character designs in this episode. And Bebop, you know, is kind of like a space sci-fi Western. So it really was reminding me, like, toward the end of that, and gave me the vibe, and I just was like, damn, this episode was really cool. I mean, it's goofy, it's absurd, it was hilarious. I did laugh out loud several times, as per usual. But by the end of it, I was actually like, well, damn, that was actually a cool episode, you know? I had a blast, you know, otherwise I wouldn't be decked out as I am in the Western motif, or at least the closest approximation I can manage as the blues man. But yeah, this was a dope episode. There's not really much else to say about it, at least from my side. Let me know down in the comments below if you happen upon this video and you've watched this particular episode. How did you enjoy it? Did you enjoy it? If not, why not? Let me know that in the comments, because we can just, you know, have a great conversation even if our POVs happen to disagree. It's all about the topic of talk and talking about fun times like this episode, and it thoroughly was just a thorough blast. So, you know, that's pretty much going to be it from me on this. Hope this video finds you well, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.